whenever I would go to apply for a job, they would love my resume, and then they would see me and they'd be like, no, we don't know what the hell this is.
You identified as a girl quite young. When were you able to fully express that and transition?
For me, starting puberty, it was like a monster was growing in my body.
What is a microaggression?
And the main thing that I would get all the time was like, oh my God, Billie, you're so pretty, but how are you prettier than me? And I'm a real woman. Ariana unfollowed me, blocked me. I was so heartbroken. That scandal put Vanderpump like on the map, as in like literally every single person started watching it because it was a very viral scandal.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Oldish. Here we are. We have a fantastic guest. We again want to thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Your list of things that you do. It's okay. Television personality, activist, writer, producer, actress, comedian, and advocate for the LGBTQIA plus community. A lot of things.
Billie, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here.
Billie Lee, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think the first thing I'd love to get into is because you've recently written a book that was released only late 2024, and it's titled "Why Are You So Sensitive?"
Yeah.
And it deals with the subject of microaggressions, which I had never heard of before. And as I was looking through your book and doing the research, I was like, oh my God, I've absolutely done that. I would probably call it foot and mouth disease.
Yeah.
When I've accidentally said something, I'm like, oh no, and I see the words come out of my mouth and I can't stop them.
Right, you can't grab them and pull them back.
Totally coming from a place of love and empathy, but I can see them land on a person and have a negative effect and create a belief system. Even happened with my kids. And so I'd love to get into that because I think it's something that so many people aren't aware of. Yeah. And I think we don't understand it enough because you can be like, well, why are you offended by that? I meant it with love. So you can feel confused about why it's hurting someone's feelings. I love this way of looking at communication. We're always looking at being better communicators. So could you explain for all of those of us those that are listening right now, what is a microaggression and how did you come across them?
Yeah, well, microaggressions are micro, so they're small, they're aggressions. And a lot of times they are targeted for people that are a minority. But it could be like even in the workplace, or for instance, for me, a lot of microaggressions that I would experience was because of being trans.
Yep. And
people would come at you as a compliment because you want to relate to someone. But at the end of the day, it would start to just feel like, that didn't feel good for me. And the main thing that I would get all the time was like, oh my God, Billie, you're so pretty. But how are you prettier than me? And I'm a real woman. And, I get
meant as a complete compliment.
Yes.
So I would assume, being from the outside, that I know people get nervous sometimes when they meet me or they're around somebody that they don't understand. And so then it's verbal diarrhea. You just sort of get into this space of you're just kind of speaking and you're saying these things that you think are really nice, but I do these conventions sometimes and people say things and it's like, who told you should say that to me when you walk up here? Because that's a terrible choice.
One I would get all the time on tour and I didn't understand it as a microaggression was, oh my God, you're so much prettier in person. And I was like, great, am I an ogre on television? That makes me feel so good now.
Yeah,
I get that too.
Oh, I thought you were so much taller. Okay, thanks. I don't know
nothing I can do about that, but okay. Totally. And then you go home and all of a sudden you're like, God, do I really look that short on camera? Or you start picking yourself apart.
I know.
So you felt that you were receiving these comments and things said by people around you and in your world, and they started to land on you and not feel great. How did you come across this term microaggressions? What led you to wanting to understand what this is, how it's affecting you, and essentially write a book about it?
Yeah. So when I was, most of my microaggressions did come from fans and people that would come up to me on Vanderpump. And then
so let's put out there, you were on Vanderpump Rules for anybody that doesn't know.
Yes.
Okay.
For 2 seasons. And then I went back for the last season for a little bit. But it was just that, you're already in a place for me. It was challenging because I was comparing myself to a lot of my cis co-stars, and they had more money than me. They were already on the show longer than me. So I was already in a place where I felt just bad and didn't feel so great in my trans experience on that show. And then to get these microaggressions or backhanded compliments from fans, that's when it really started. And I didn't understand what it was. Like, I didn't even really know the term. And then I was talking to some of my trans sisters, and they were kind of explaining it to me. And yeah, I just was like, well, I did some research, and there was only like your like textbooks. Like there was nothing really out there to like hold it.
Right.
And actually, and then when I was talking to more people, there were so many other stories out there. And I was like, yo, this needs to be a book. Like, this needs to be on someone's coffee table. People need to give this for a gift. Like, I think educating is so important. And if you can do it in a way that's like digestible and even cute, like
entertaining. Yeah.
Very cute, by the way.
Yeah, very
I do
cute.
think very, very cute.
Yeah. And I've been called my whole life sensitive. Like, no matter what, it's like, why are you so sensitive? Like, that was the thing. And I was a very sensitive boy, and I was forced to be a boy. I couldn't express my feminine energy. And so I was called a sissy and too sensitive my whole life. So it just made sense for that to be the title.
It does. So for my understanding, you identified as a girl quite young in your life, but when were you able to fully express that and transition?
So I knew that I was in the wrong body at a very young age, but my parents and everyone around me did not like understand. Like, they didn't know the word trans.
Right.
We didn't have YouTube back in the day like that. So it was a bit challenging. I didn't really get to fully express who I was until I moved to Los Angeles and started hormones at, I believe, like at 20, like 19, 20.
Oh, wow. That's, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go through puberty as a boy.
So you had to undo things then.
Undo lots of surgeries. Yeah. But yeah, when people like talk about, like it's a big thing, and, like, I don't think parents should have their kids doing blockers or surgeries. And I don't think any kid should be having surgery until they're of a certain age. I totally understand that. But for me, starting puberty, it was like a monster was growing in my body, and I hated it so bad. And that's when the suicidal thoughts came. Like, those were the most horrifying years as a teen for me, just because it was going against everything that I felt inside.
Your body was betraying you.
Yeah, totally.
We understand we have someone very close to us who is also quite young, who is identified from a very young age as a girl, and is lucky to have a community around them that is very, very supportive.
Yeah.
And in the discussions that we've had about her, it's that we absolutely know that going through puberty would be a devastating experience for her. Her body would betray her, self-harming would happen, possible drug use. It's like you can see it happening down the line.
Yeah.
And having that affirming care for her has been just so vital for her and her family and her happiness and health and mental health. And I think it's amazing that she can have access to it. And I can't imagine on the other side of that what it was like for you going through that experience at such a young age.
Seeing yourself changing even more into a body that you do not feel is yours and is the right place.
Especially in a time that wasn't supportive of it, in a space that wasn't supportive of it, and less information about it.
Yeah, I couldn't even talk about it. We had like one paragraph in like health education, like, health class in school. There was like one paragraph.
Where are you from?
Indiana.
Oh boy.
Very small town.
Yeah.
Like literally 500 kids for all of my middle school and high school. So I was what they called small town famous. Like, everyone talked about me. Everyone knew my business. I was the only like open queer kid at the time. And yeah, it was just a very challenging time growing up, which is one reason why I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. Yeah.
Do you feel that challenging time in your life has, because you do so much work in the LGBTQ plus space, and you are very outspoken and supportive, and I think very much a role model. Do you think that gave you the strength? It was almost very traumatic for you, but an experience you needed to have to help others now be able to go through their transition and be able to feel comfortable?
Yeah. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. And like my family, they just didn't have the resources. They didn't have like the education. They dropped out of, I think, like 9th grade. They had me when they were 16, you know? So I learned a lot of things the hard way, just through life. And if I could save other people from, you know, doing things that I had to do, even when it comes to like, when I did start my hormones, like, you know, society put me in a corner and really beat the fuck out of me, because when you get to a place, especially then, they didn't know to put me in a box if I was a boy or a girl. And, you know, as a server, like back in the day, like you would have to have like your head shot. Like it was like, to be a server in Los Angeles is like such a thing back in the day, because most people were here acting. And I couldn't get a job.
I didn't know that. You had to have a headshot and everything.
Yes, to be a server. Like,
who knew?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I feel like every
totally
server
makes
is trying to be an
sense,
actor.
but I just literally, I had no, and I'm from here.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I always thought it was the people that had headshots for acting that were like, okay, well, I'm gonna work as a waiter or a waitress in the meantime. I didn't know it was like you had to get a job that way as well.
Like being attractive, you know, is like a thing. Like even when I worked at Sir, like on Vanderpump, like it was about being attractive, being sexy, wear sexy clothes. But whenever I would go to apply for a job, they would love my resume, and they'd be like, because I have all this serving experience from college and from Indiana. And then they would see me and they'd be like, they wouldn't hire me. They were just like, no, we don't know what the hell this is. And so I had to do sex work. And just even that, because our unemployment rate is so high, it still is for trans people. A lot of us do lean on sex work because we are also fetishized and over-sexualized.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you mind diving a little bit more into when you say sex work, what that means?
Sex work is you get paid to do sexual things. I find it very empowering now. And sometimes I still like, it's such an empowering thing to, I'm a pleaser. I'm a people pleaser, which is hard if someone's mad at you. But I'm also just a pleaser in general. So whenever I like became a sex worker, I was like, oh, wow, like I can get off pleasing these men and also get paid. So it's something that like for me, like the other day I was charging my car and like some guy was like hitting on me. And like if they notice that I'm trans and I don't like accept their like, oh, give me your Instagram or your phone number, then they'll be like, well, how much? And like the back of my head is like, oh, I could make some easy money right now. Like it's so easy to like, and there's something empowering about wanting to lean back into it because that was kind of what we had as survival and just became way of life for me.
It's so interesting because I imagine there is a sense of taking control in that because you're making these choices, but it's also an incredibly dangerous industry for you to be in and opens you up to all sorts of possible abuse.
Yeah, totally.
How old were you when you were navigating that?
I was in my early 20s.
Oh my gosh, girl, that's so young. It's so brutal.
It was scary.
We've had a guest on and completely different angle on sex work. It was more from the trafficking angle and that getting into that industry. And it was just so shocking for me to hear about some of the stories. Obviously, it was your choice. You weren't trafficked. But I imagine there are still many of the dangers. Did you have any very scary situations come up where you thought, I've made the wrong choice?
I have to say I was pretty blessed when it came to sex work. There was times like when I would first enter a hotel room, you like do certain things that you learn. Like I would check in to make sure that the front desk saw me. And just, you know, I would check and make sure where the cameras were, security cameras. And then I would have a pocket knife up in my coat, like at my coat sleeve. So, and I would do a check throughout the entire room, like in any cabinets in the bathroom and stuff like that before I would like get on the bed. So you do like little things to protect yourself in that way. But I had really amazing clients who like treated me with respect and wine and dined me. And like I was in like hotels in Beverly Hills, you know, it wasn't so, I wasn't on the street.
Got you. Yes.
Which a lot of my sisters are, you know, just depends. But so I navigated it in that way. And I enjoyed it. to some points, like, because, you know, this is, if society is beating you up and you're being rejected when you go into interviews, but then you have this guy who is like treating you like you're a queen. And I wasn't very comfortable with my sexual parts, like my penis at the time, which is why I like saved up money to have surgery. So this guy treated my sexual part like it was dessert. Like it was the most amazing thing. So there was this confidence that came with it on top of having a wad of cash afterwards.
It's interesting. I was just thinking as you were talking, it's the being in a place where you wouldn't expect it, but of complete acceptance has to feel amazing and validating for you in that, as out there of a space as you would assume it would be, and as uncomfortable as you assume it would be. Had to have felt amazing.
Especially like dating is brutal anyway.
Yeah, totally.
I can imagine being trans, dating is incredibly hard to know whether that person is going to be receptive in the right way, if that's the right choice of words, positive about the truth of you as a human being. But you go into this space and people are like, no, love that. Yes, looking for that. Thank you very much. You're amazing. Let's go. And I feel that full acceptance.
Be completely you.
Yeah, how freeing that would be. And you're right. Like you say the word sex work and my initial reaction is like, are you okay?
Oh my
Was
God,
it traumatic?
right.
Like, oh my God.
But then for her to be like, oh, it was actually great for me. It's
so
amazing.
interesting.
Yeah, it was so good and so empowering. And I recently I interviewed a dominatrix, and a lot of guys like to be dommed, especially when they're in control at work and stuff. And
that's so crazy.
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
And she was telling me how empowering it is for, like, she has a school and she trains women to be doms, and these men have to bow to their queen, and like there's just such a thing that, like, I don't know, I feel positive and a special love for sex work.
Yeah.
Is that like a different avenue that you're possibly looking at getting back into at some point?
Well, I've been asked for years to start an OnlyFans. Like,
I
literally
could imagine.
And the same, you know, Republicans who are like, fuck you, tranny, are also in my DMs. Like,
of course they are.
Do you have an OnlyFans?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The ones that are saying drag queens can't read to kids are also the ones asking you to have an OnlyFans. I get it. They have, we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah. It is.
Ooh, it's a big subject. We can go there in a bit.
It's a big one. Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, because OnlyFans started a whole comedy special where they do comedy as well. So I am thinking about doing the comedy plus some sexy photos. Because, like,
the comedy branch of OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
that's fun.
so do I.
mean, take it obviously wherever you want it. I didn't know they were opening up into comedy. That's awesome. And speaking of comedy, this is something that you're now in and is new for you. You said, we were speaking before, you landed in it as an accident.
Yeah, it was an accident. I sold a pilot to ABC. We lost it to the writer's strike, but like that literally transformed my life, because my team was like, yeah, you should probably start some comedy classes if you're going to be writing a half-hour comedy. And then my teacher at Pretty Funny Woman, she was like, your point of view is amazing and needed, and your timing is really great. And then I just kept on getting booked and booked, because I also had like a reality TV star name, you know? But yeah, now I did a show last night at the Improv main stage, and I had a couple friends that were there, and they saw my very first show 2 years ago, and they were like, Billie, like how far you've come.
That's
and like
amazing.
How comfortable I am on stage.
Yeah.
It's really cool to like have that reminder last night. It was definitely needed. But yeah, I literally write jokes about my trans experience, about dating straight men. I write about sex work and joke about that. But yeah, I really go there. And like, I think the thing about comedy that I love so much is it's given me this confidence, especially even with online bullying, because like I get the most horrifying comments. Like literally my hairstylist the other day was like, are you okay? I was on your Instagram just looking at comments, and But comedy has done this thing for me. Like when you write jokes and make fun of yourself, no one else can touch you. Like I go there when I write jokes. Like I really make fun of myself. And it just gives you this like self-love and confidence that I never imagined. Like,
are you doing shows for general audiences or you do? So now comedy is in the news constantly, especially with transgender and the way that it's handled. I know there are a lot of comedians that to some come across as really abrasive. I know like Dave Chappelle has been really lambasted for his views and the way he's expressing himself. Are those considered microaggressions or are those
just straight up aggressive?
Yeah, are those just straight aggressions?
those are macro as fuck. Well, Dave Chappelle, I actually like really look up to him. I think he's such an amazing comedian.
An intelligent guy.
Yeah, he's very intelligent. I think he likes the girls. I think he likes trans women. I'm pretty sure that's the thing for him. I mean, most of us think that because just the way he is. Like if you're going to spend how many specials talking about it, it's okay.
Is it an obsession?
Yeah. But you know what I loved about him is he said this in one of his specials. He knew a trans woman and was actually friends with her.
That was such a great story.
Yeah. And like the thing is with
in the closer.
Yeah. And he gave resources to that person's children.
Yes.
Because she passed away. And what I noticed about being on Vanderpump is like I was thrown into the spotlight as a trans woman, and visibility is really important for trans people. But when it lacks resources, it's an act of violence for me. And I learned that the hard way because I was thrown into the spotlight and they gave me literally very little money. And they demanded me to dress a certain way and be sexy. And, you know, I had to constantly do my own hair and makeup. Like it was so much work and effort for very little pay.
And just to be clear, that was different treatment to the other girls on the show?
Yeah, because it's a scale. Like, so when you first enter, you're like basically given like crumbs. It's like $5,000 for the whole season. And you work a lot and you film a lot. Even whatever makes it on air is like half of what you actually film. But yeah, I noticed that.
Did you just say 5,000 for the whole season?
Yeah. The first season.
And how many episodes do they usually do in a season?
Oh, like.
Well, it's the all day filming too. It's like constant.
Oh yeah, and you don't get your call time until the night before.
Yeah, the demand
and that's all
on
encompassing.
You is
it's not like you have really time to do other things. I mean, I would assume that you are in that world.
Wild.
You're in that world,
basically.
Yeah.
So it's a scale. So you had to work your way up to.
So, but what I did love about Dave is Dave gave resources.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I notice. It's like a person can scream all day long about trans people, but where are the resources? Let me see the receipts because that's what we need because that's what we lack.
What resources would you have loved to have received when you were on Vanderpump?
More financial help, clothing, more protection, just like to feel safe, therapy, like free therapy and mental health. I had nothing, like literally nothing. And even when there was like a really big scandal that happened in the last season, that was like with a friend of mine, like I was asked to go back in and I was like, I will not sign a contract. Like, so I just went in to like basically be there for this person. And I went into like the most horrifying scenes that happened. My friend was literally in the midst of a scandal. The paparazzi was following our every move. Then I was thrown into the scandal because everyone accused me of sleeping with him. And like
this is with Tom Sandoval?
Yes.
Bro, I did a show with him.
Oh, okay.
I had never watched Vanderpump Rules, and so this is why I know.
Oh, what show did you do?
Brian did. It was the SAS
Special Forces.
Special Forces.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we would actually have nights watching it. Yeah.
So
okay.
we would, and they didn't air so much of the stuff that we did because it was just a time
reality
crunch.
TV too.
Yeah.
They would edit an entire day down to an hour show.
Right.
So there was tons of time where we were just kind of in the back of the truck driving and talking about all of it. And I don't watch reality television, so I had no idea the depths of it. But
So you were
that was really something.
It's really something.
So
So,
it was crazy.
so you were accused of sleeping with Tom by castmates or fans,
By castmates, and they did that on the air.
and you had no idea that was coming.
And I
obviously.
wasn't on the show. They were just talking about it on the air when I was no longer a part of the show.
Right.
And then I was there for Ariana. Like, I literally was so sad, and it was like a death in our family because we literally spent the holidays together. We were very close. And for like 6 weeks, I was just there for Ariana. I ignored Tom. And then a mutual friend who I introduced Tom to, his like band manager, called me and was like, we literally think we're going to lose Tom, like, to suicide. If you do not, like, please just answer his calls. Please talk to him. And so I did. And I let Ariana know. I was like, hey, this is what's happening. I was also helping with the dog. And the paparazzi caught me like staying there that weekend. And then it was just a whole thing. Like, for a month, I was like literally followed all day, every day. But my point is, I walked into, like, there was days where this man like destroyed the house. Like, he was so sad. He lost so many deals. The world hated him. Like, literally the world hated this dude.
It was real. I'm not at all condoning what he did,
Right.
nor his reaction and recovery from it. But it was brutal, his treatment from the media.
Totally.
I think his reaction was way worse than the things.
Well, it
he
was the
did.
nail in the coffin,
Yeah,
I think,
it was
in my
kind
opinion.
of
Like,
there's a good way of handling this situation, and there's a bad one, and you've taken the bad one for sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
but still wouldn't wish that treatment from the media,
No.
global attention like that on
Yeah.
anyone. That's a lot to bear.
But the second that happened, everyone saw the photos. Ariana unfollowed me, blocked me. I was so heartbroken. And then it kind of isolated us. So it was just this situation where I was like, it was really, really like dark for a while.
It's so shitty.
So you got caught up in the negative side of that whole scandal then.
Yes, like very, very negative.
Wow.
And to bring it back to what I was discussing, or we were discussing earlier, is there was no therapy. Like, this production company literally made so much money off of these
They just
people's
fed
trauma.
off of this. They were like, oh, let's keep
they
the
just
drama
light the
going.
fire and let it
Right.
burn.
Yeah. And like, I'm over here like, you need to do this. You need to go get a therapist. I'm literally just trying to help this person survive right now. And like, the production company is like wanting to come in and like film. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what? And even with me back in the day, the resources are just so limited. And, that scandal put Vanderpump like on the map, as in like literally
Sure.
every single person started watching it because it was a very viral scandal.
Right.
And I just think that there was a lack of resources with everyone.
Lack of probably wanting to provide them either, because maybe reality television didn't want to put out the fire.
I would assume
know
it
what I
served
mean?
the show the best when there was drama.
I will say there is a big gap in reality TV when it comes to that. The Bachelor Nation or the series, they've had their own scandals and haven't had aid and resources for people. I do wish there was more resources and that reality TV stars were looked after more. That you were given at the bare minimum therapy to deal with a sudden rise to fame of everyone looking at you and having an opinion on you. That's incredibly hard to deal with. And also the situations that come up that not everybody sees, that you have to, for yourself, microaggressions, taking it back to that, and being in this workplace and trying to manage and understand the dynamics of it and things that people are saying to you and where do I fit within this. I really do think there is something missing there. I'd love to see protection for people coming up more.
Yeah,
I do too. It's a tough line. I mean, I again, not condoning the behavior, but I understand, like, the more drama, the juicier it is to watch, the better it's, the
Sure,
better
and
it is
people are
for us.
addicted to this type of
Unfortunately.
reality television.
Right.
I was just in Australia, it's a little left field, but MAFS, Married at First Sight, is the number one show. It does not matter what other show comes to air or how good it is. That Married at First Sight show is the number one show. It's like crack for people.
Just the
I don't
title
watch-
makes me want to watch that show.
Not me. I
Married
don't
at
watch
First
TV
Sight?
like that.
Oh,
I don't watch reality TV at all.
No, it's not my jam. We watch The Daily Show and,
Right.
news and other things,
Last
which
week
also
tonight.
has its own also has its own things that
Yeah.
make me rage. But it seems that we are in this space of people being addicted to reality television. And the more crazy it is, the more vile it is, the more in your face or aggressive it is. People seem to love it. And I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
You know, let's go back to better homes and gardens.
I
let's
know.
pot some plants and bake a cake. The Great British Bake Off is great. Going back to microaggressions, you had some incredible people come and also be a part of this book. How did you find those resources? Did it help you understand it even more? Like, what was that process like for you?
Yeah, a lot of it came from like the trans community. But then I was like, I don't want it to just be about trans issues.
Right.
I want it to be about everything. And so I did a lot of outreach. I was like knocking on people's doors, emailing people. I think that was the most challenging thing about the book, because like you're literally asking people to tell a time in their life where they felt shitty, you know? And it's like, can you share this? Like, it's going to help other people. But yeah, it was challenging gathering all of that. I told my literary agents, the next book I do, it's literally going to be all up here by myself. So I can literally not have to be doing so much outreach, because it was challenging. And, you know, you're just bringing up a lot of negative things, but it's so nice because people actually get to read it and be like, oh, wow, I can learn from this. And then you're really protecting a lot of people in the long run.
I'd love to, we talked about that fine line, and Brian and I talked about this on the way in here when we were discussing like microaggressions. Okay. So where is the balance of, I want to be sensitive to who you are, but it's also not my job to manage your sensitivities in that sense. So there's a big difference between someone saying to you, but I'm a real woman. To be honest, I think that person is just so out of touch with like true, or maybe it was intentionally passive aggressive, you know? So I think there's a big difference, but then there's between someone knowingly doing that. And then, okay, there's also, sorry, as you said, unknowingly doing it, foot and mouth. I've done that before. It comes with love. But then where is the line where you get to have, like we discussed, being able to jab at each other and have a
She's
back and
Australian,
forth?
so
Sarcasm is in my DNA. You know what I mean?
Everybody's sarcastic in Australia.
Which is probably also a part of the foot and mouth disease. I think only Aussies get me. But like where, I guess I'm not articulating it well enough, but where is that line that you draw of like, how much do you have to manage what you say to people? Because at times it can feel like, oh, I'm just going to say nothing because I'm scared of offending.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes with like, what is the relationship? You know, like you two have a relationship, obviously. You know her well enough to play with those words and not feel like it's going to be harmful. For people, and this is what's tricky though, because we do want to relate to people. It's like when I write in the book about my friend, we were at a climate march and I was trying to relate with her, and she was talking about how like she loves fighting for the climate, but she loves her products and plastic, you know? And I said, oh, we're like bipolar, saving the planet. And she's a mental health activist and she suffers from being bipolar. And I hear this all the time, like, oh, I'm so bipolar about this. Like people really do suffer from being bipolar, and it's something that like you shouldn't, it's even like, oh, that's so gay, meaning it's stupid. It's just like, we don't do that anymore. And I think that this is kind of going to help move us along in that way. It's like those little things. But, you know, you have to just be a little bit more careful when it comes to strangers. Like you were saying, like strangers will walk up to you and compliment you or say the most random shit because they're also nervous and they're fans.
Word vomit.
Yeah. And I always just try to like hold space for it in grace. Like, you know, like I don't need to, like people are like, how do you tell someone that they fucked up? How do you tell someone that they are a perpetrator of a microaggression? And my thing is like the same way you would tell someone like that didn't feel good, but you just make sure it's coming from a place of grace. It's not coming from a place of like anger, because then someone will want to immediately react in anger. They'll want to match your energy.
We had one yesterday. So I approached it with Bri, and I think we handled it well. This is before I really fully understood.
Which thing yesterday?
Daisy. So I came back from Australia. Long story. I came back from Australia, and our little teeny tiny dog, who is like a Shih Tzu poodle mix, looked like a straight up Yeti, she was matted underneath.
like matted,
had not
twice the size.
Had not seen a brush in 2 months. Like not the kind of dog that you do that to. And I was like, oh my God. So my mum and I spent 4 hours yesterday literally having to shave these knots off of her and trim her down. Now, to be fair, not the prettiest cut that I've ever done on her, but all day he's calling her a rat. And I was like, it took me 4 hours. Like I tried to put all my energy into just having her feel better and look better than she did.
Yeah.
And then at night we're laying in bed, she sleeps on the bed, and he said it again, something like no, she looks like Brian, I could fucking kill you. She looks like the dog from Deadpool.
Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, oh, she could absolutely be in the next Wolverine and Deadpool.
And I was like, wait, babe, that makes me not feel great, because I just wanted to make her feel better, and I put so much time into that. And he was like, oh my God, babe, that's not what I mean. Like,
right. I'm not talking about her cut, the cut that you did. I'm talking about like, look at her body, look at her face. Like she looks like something different.
Yeah. Like there was an appreciation for, no, you did everything you could possibly do, but she was so matted that you literally had to shave her to the skin in some places.
She looks crazy.
She looks crazy. And I can admit she looks crazy, but the way I was receiving it, because at the time, and I'm sarcastic, right? I can give it, but I was in a space of feeling like, man, that took me 4 hours, and I was just trying to do something good. And I even sacrificed family time. They're all in the pool. All my kids are in the pool, and I'm there in the heat in LA shaving down a dog. And so I wanted validation. Yeah. And so
I can only imagine, though, there's got to be a lot of sensitivity within the community, especially now politically with what is going on, of you have to defend yourself constantly. So then, of course, you are more sensitive to anything that comes in your direction, because it's like it's one more thing piled up on top of it all, or it seems like it would be that way.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Wait, really quickly. Where's the dog groomer?
So we have a dog coming in a week, but I could. We have a dog groomer, but for some reason it was scheduling things and whatever, and then he's traveling and I'm traveling, and just no one took care of it. No. We had other people in our house taking care of her.
Well, thank you for taking care of her that way.
Yes, exactly.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Don't do this to me.
Transparently, like when we turned up and saw her, my mum, who is also a dog groomer, laughed so hard she peed herself a little bit. She was like, "Oh my God, Daisy!"
Oh, she was like walking crooked. Like she was. Her hair was matted down to her skin and spots. And I went and bought a specific brush to like really try and get through it. And it was like
no hope. A brush had no hope because she hadn't seen a brush in too long. I've had a little thing.
I had a Shih Tzu. Yeah. Like most of my life, I always had Shih Tzus. She would get really mad at sometimes. So like I know that
it's hair, so you have to brush it out. She needs care. And so just through he'd been away. I was in Australia for 6 weeks. We had other people in our home taking care of our animals. I was in Australia.
I was there for 2.5 weeks, and that was
it was a whole thing. Yeah. And so it was just something that got missed. And of course our other dog is short haired, so like not a problem at all. Right. And anyway, so it happened. But I was feeling sensitive. I needed validation, and I didn't get it. So I
got home and I was like, oh my God, was she like overfed? Because she's like twice the size of normal and like not moving well and like,
No, it was just fur.
Just fur.
Yeah, just fur.
It's just too much.
But that was our we have them daily. Honestly, microaggressions honestly happen daily for us. And I think, as you said, it can be the relationship, but also maybe with the people you love, being able to read where they're at the time. I can take a joke. I love sarcasm, but in that moment I was feeling sensitive, like I needed validation. And I think that's fair for us to be in different spaces and to feel confident in communicating that with the people that you're around. And so I love now having something that I can call it a microaggression. Yeah. To know that's also validated, because I think we can gaslight ourselves sometimes into being like, stop being so sensitive. They didn't mean it that way. You're silly for thinking that way. Just let it go. Get over it. You know. And I think we gaslight ourselves sometimes.
Oh, for sure. We do. Like, especially when it comes to someone that it's like of authority, like a boss or something. Yes. Oh, I'll convince myself that they were right and I was wrong.
Yeah.
even if they flat out do microaggressions all day long.
Right.
It's very tricky.
Very tricky.
And I talk about that in the book. Like there's a whole workplace section. Like so people can say, oh, this actually, I'm not crazy. And they are gaslighting me.
And so in this book, it gives you tools to be able to approach those conversations and like recognizing.
And then I teamed up with Dr. Gina, and she's amazing. And she chimes in with her expertise, and it's good. It's a good like book that can really guide you through some crazy experiences, because we all face them, even cis hetero women.
Yeah.
Like at the workplace, you know, it's very common for men to talk over them, to steal their ideas. Like it's so rooted in our programming. I like say this a lot now, but it's like the programming. Because even if you go back to like sex work, it's like sex work is so empowering. And if you're both respecting each other and it's like this mutual transaction and agreement, but then our programming, because of society, I'm supposed to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I'm less than because of this transaction.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really a lot to do with our programming, and men are programmed a certain way because conditioning and society. And a lot of times they do things in the workplace. They don't even know they're doing it. You know, it's just how it is. So it's nice to have this book to be like, oh, this points it out. It really just helps people be like, I'm not fucking losing my mind. Because I've been around some really powerful people who, like, I looked up to, and then you find out, like, things that they say and do, and you're just like, this is not good. But you want to convince yourself that they're right because, you know, they're on TV and they're your boss and they're all the great things. And it's just, no.
Yeah, you stop making excuses for it after a while.
Yeah, totally.
With everything that's happening politically, how sensitive you can be then to any comment that comes from anybody. It seems like right now we just live, especially within this country, we live in a space where so many people just don't understand and aren't even willing to listen and learn. They just kind of have this view of things, and they just think that is it.
Yeah. No, totally. I think that the scariest thing and the most frustrating thing is that trans people in the political world with MAGA and Trump is looked at and portrayed as the villain, as the monster and the enemy. And they're doing that to a very, very small, marginalized community that has very, very little resources. It's just, that is so fucked up. It's
Why
so
do you think
scary.
they're doing that? Like, why what is to gain from that?
I'll tell you why. Because not a lot of people know a trans person. So it's very easy to paint someone a monster when you don't know them.
Sure.
That's why. It's such a very, very small group. It's just like with sports. There's like literally, like there are more sexual predators in the White House than there are women, trans women, in professional sports and even in sports for kids. Like it is mind blowing. But years ago when I was protesting in North Carolina, it was HB2 bill. I think it was a bathroom bill. It's like when they first introduced it. And I was like, oh my God, I got to do something. Like, and I literally got on a plane and went there and protested. And they had this rally. The Republicans had this rally. And they had this big stage. And they gave out free hot dogs. People came with their lawn chairs and American flags. And they had a country singer on. And then after the country singer, in between each singer, they would have a politician come on. And they would say over and over, we got to protect your family. We got to protect your kids. We got to protect your wives, your mothers, because the trans women are in the bathrooms sexually assaulting them and even murdering them. And they said it over and over and over in between country singers,
Right.
while these people are stuffing their face with a fucking hot dog. Like, and there is no proof. There is no, like, but it was such a form of brainwashing for me. I was like, oh my God. And then also, like, people are more likely to get up off their couch and take that fucking hot dog out of their mouth and do something if they have to protect their own family.
Of course.
So that's why we're painted as the monster. The Republicans need a scary monster. So that way people will get out and vote.
So they're the
they
hero.
need a scary
Yeah.
monster.
Exactly.
They need
How do
a
you
scary
how do you
monster.
feel about trans women in women's sports?
That's challenging for me
is.
because it is really challenging. I wish all sports was like Wade, like you were just like in a weight class, like wrestling. You know, I wish it was like that. It would just be so.
Like boxing.
Yeah, exactly. I wish it was like that. The reason why I say it's like challenging is because I have trans sisters who are literally so small and tiny, like, and I have cis friends who could knock them over
Yeah.
with literally one push. Like, I have cis hetero friends who are massively strong and great in sports, and I have trans sisters who are so weak and dainty. I could not imagine them playing a sport. So it's just challenging for me. And then what was it like whenever, I think it was the boxing in the Olympics or something, where they were misgendering an actual cis person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was
Right.
it Marjorie Taylor Greene? Someone was screaming.
tried claiming that a woman that had won was actually transgender.
Simply because
of the way
she looked.
She was
How
not at all.
fucking
I
offensive
know.
to just.
Yeah.
It's just so rude.
I've had this
crazy.
conversation with people so many times about transgender athletes in sports, and I my view on it is like, I get your argument, I get your concern. We have no rules at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we need to just sit and talk about this
Yeah.
because it's not like the two sides are that far off, really, if you get into the conversation. But it's a conversation that has to be had at some
You
point.
are right in what you're saying. There are no rules. So instead of making a villain, how about we find new rules?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah.
just have a discussion on
As we've done
bring
through
everyone
history,
to the
as
table.
we have like introduced people into new sports, you come up with new rules, you discuss it, and you go, okay, what's a smart way of dealing with this?
What seems fair?
What seems fair? What doesn't seem fair? And I think then we could come up with some sort of ruling that makes sense compared to just labeling everyone as a villain and just making a hard line yes or
Yeah.
no. It's so black or white, and it drives me insane.
Yeah.
It's not, to me, it's not a black or white issue.
No, totally. I agree.
What is something that you think the LGBTQ plus community can do to fight back in meaningful ways right now? Seeing the removal of rights and inclusivity, it's a really horrible time for the community right now. And what are
Yeah.
some ways that you feel they can fight back?
I think it's just like using your platforms, speaking up, being visible. Like, I use it in like, as a writer and producer, like I use it in my comedy. Like, I think in all my platforms. I just recently wrote, and like we sold a Christmas movie, and it's the first trans lead in a Christmas movie. It's like normalizing our experiences. We are worthy of love during the Christmas and the holidays.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's, for me, I'm always trying to use every single platform that I have and every avenue to move us forward. But it can be daunting. There are days where I literally just cry because I'm like, oh God, it doesn't matter like how hard you work. You literally have this orange man screaming and yelling.
I hear politicians talking about transgender sometimes, and it's just, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
Wait, the
When-
transgender mice. The
when there's-
transgender mice.
It's like
the one,
that,
the
yeah.
transgenic. You know that one,
instead
right?
of
The Trump
transgenic, so Trump was talking about transgender mice.
saying that
He's saying like, $4 billion has been spent on making
Oh
mice
my
transgender.
that it's transgenic.
Transgenic. The concept is like, okay, we learn from these mice, so we try and inject.
Couldn't have said something more
But
dumb.
every time the argument comes up from certain people on that side of like, oh, a transgender woman will never be a woman, never be able, and it's like, to me, it's maddening because it's like, don't you think that anybody that's transgender knows what it is you're saying? It's not about just that. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing on the outside the way you feel on the inside. And
Right.
it's
Knowing the
just this-
difference between your sex
it's this
and your gender.
lifelong battle. I mean, I can't imagine looking in a mirror and going, this is not what I'm seeing right now is not how I feel.
Yeah.
Because it's maddening enough for someone to look in the mirror and go, oh, my hair isn't good today. Or like, I wish my skin looks terrible, or I need eye. It's people pick themselves apart anyway, let alone looking in the mirror that way. I can't imagine how frustrating that is.
Yeah.
What was that journey like for you to feel, again, we have someone very close to us experiencing this, to then fall in love with your body, to not feel, or do you still struggle with that? Do you still feel betrayed by it? Like, you are a woman, but your body at one point was trying to tell you differently, or what is the journey in between there?
Yeah. Well, gender affirming care is it's like on a spectrum like everything else. Like, you know, I joked about how Elon Musk is gender affirming care all the time with like his hair plugs and like he's had multiple surgeries. Like he takes testosterone. Like there's all these things that men do that are literally like gender affirming, you know? And I think when it comes to kids, like I wish I had a hormone blocker as when I was younger to like fight some of that. But, you know, it really depends on each situation. But I did go through a phase in my life, especially when I started puberty, that I literally just hated my body. And then when I got older, I would constantly pray that I would be able to afford the surgeries because they are so expensive. And luckily I had amazing people in my life who helped me and would match the money that I raised. And really, I got the best surgeons in the world. And it was, you know, a very challenging experience, but also really beautiful. And I'll never forget, like this is like a little graphic or whatever, but whatever. But I was like riding a guy like sexually, like, you know, like on top of him. And there was like a mirror in front of me. And like, I saw myself, like my breast, my body, like everything. And I was just like, oh my God, like there she is. Like,
wow.
It just was the most magical feeling, something that will literally be in my head forever. But when I first decided to transition, it like started out as just like this tiny little idea. And I always compare it to like when you fall in love with someone, like you like start thinking about them a lot and then you can't even go to sleep at night because you're just like
all encompassing.
Yeah. And that's how I felt. And so many light bulbs were going off. Like, oh, this makes so much sense. And that's when I like really was like, okay, I have to like lean into this and really transition. But I had no idea how hard it was going to be, you know, like thank God I didn't because I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But I've had, you know, moments where it's like anytime society forces you to be something you're not, like the suicidal thoughts would come back, you know, like that was hard for me.
How long has it been since you've dealt with suicidal thoughts?
Oh gosh. I struggle still to this day. Yeah. I fantasize about it. Especially when I have really hard days.
When you look in the mirror now, how do you see yourself? Are you happy with what you see? Are you still in that mode of there's more to do?
No, I'm happy. I've had all the things done by literally the best surgeons. Like I'm very happy. Right now it's just like the aging, you know, because we're programmed to like, oh, aging is bad. And I have to like talk myself into it, especially like I started like my whole life. I don't know, when you don't have representation on TV, you can't even think that you would be an actor. You can't even think that you could be on camera because I didn't see that. And when I sold the pilot, I also started acting class and I completely fell in love with acting. And my teacher, everyone was just like telling me how much like the talent that I have and how easy it was for me to tap into the imaginary circumstance. A lot of it was rooted in my past trauma and the reason why I had to imagine my G.I. Joe as a doll. Like I literally had to do all these things as a child, which has made me a strong actor. But like I didn't get to start acting.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really, that's a great visual representation of it for you.
My teacher
imagining your G.I. Joe as a doll.
Everything that I had was like a boy, but I had to like pretend like it was a girl.
Right.
Like even my teddy bears, I had to get like a masculine teddy bear, but it was my baby doll. But my teacher would be like, how do you lock in so much? And it was because it was rooted in that. But I started acting and comedy when I was 39. Like, so for me, the aging, it's like, oh, I just started this and I'm already like, well, you're too old, or, you know, like, it's like, you have to think about that in Hollywood. It's such a thing.
Bob Thornton, man. Like, I always go back to that. Like, Sling Blade was so late in his life, and that was the thing that started. And that dude was already pretty far along.
I will say, I love you so much. So different for men. It's so much different for men. Men can look the way they look and still be massively successful. For women, you are expected. I just saw Ellen Pompeo screaming about this in some video that she did. She's like, stop giving a shit about looking perfect and whatever. 90% of the successful men don't look good. They all look like crap. You know what I mean? So
I think it's what you're in it for. Like, if you're in it just to be like the beautiful woman in things, later it's you're making it really tough on yourself compared to just being the best actress you can be in a situation.
Yes.
Totally.
So I, similar to you, started my acting journey recently. I've always loved it, always told I'm a storyteller as a dancer, always told I should act. I was like, what do you mean? I haven't studied it. I felt like this imposter syndrome. I couldn't possibly. It was Brian that convinced me to truly dive into scene study class, because I would read with him on his auditions. He's like, no, you're actually, like, for someone that's never done this, you're really good at this. And so I went to my first scene study class 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And so I would have been 37. And I instantly was in love with this medium and these creating characters, and like yourself, being able to pull from traumas to bring to it and whatnot. And it was just so much fun being in class. And I recently did my first horror movie. We did it together. First movie, not even first horror movie. First movie, first
really
paid gig as an actor.
Just completely insane what you had to do. Like,
and the same thing Bri said to me, also my acting coach said, someone has to be this age in a role.
Yeah.
Not all roles are for the 25-year-old. There is so much to be said for maturity and experience, and that gives you a different presence and everything that you've been through that you bring to a role.
Yeah.
A 22-year-old can't compete with that shit. You don't want to be that. You want everything that you've been through,
22-year-old,
and who you are and the way you look.
Specific thing you can do, and that's it. And that's all your cast.
Yeah.
Like, I know, because I've been doing this since I was 9. Like, looking at my career then compared to now, it's like, oh my God, there's way more opportunity now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's an abundance of opportunity and cooler roles. And like, someone needs to play that and be the, hate the word, but the more mature character of whatever it is. And that's awesome. You know, I think that's exciting for you. Like, it's exciting for me now.
I know. I'm really excited for you. I was literally lighting up when you were talking about it. I was like,
your face. You're like, yay! And also, you don't look your age. So there's that. You look amazing. So don't even worry about the aging situation. You got that down. You're all good.
Yeah, I know. Like, in acting class, like, younger guys are always hitting on me. And I'm like, you're literally 24. Like,
I could,
Yeah,
totally. But thank you. That's really cute.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you too. It's scary in the way of, I've trained my whole life in one thing. I'm elite at it. And I've had an incredible career in it. And it was scary to think, what if I'm really bad at this? What if I'm on a stage and I'm really bad at something? Because the stage is my home. And I'm by no means the greatest actor on the planet, but I have talent and I have a natural ability with it and I have a deep love for it. But what I found was I'm actually loving being a student. I'm loving learning. I'm loving not being the best in the room. I'm loving looking at other people being like, oh, I want to be you when I grow up. Like, there's so much in there that is just so delicious and wonderful as a human experience. Yeah. And I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. It does something like childlike for you because you are the student.
Yeah.
And then also when you're on stage, you're playing. Like, I go to Playhouse West and the Valley, but like, it's literally like you're playing with energy and playing with people on stage. It's such a cool.
It's so fun.
When you find the way to cross that over into work on set, and you realize like, oh, from take to take, I can do these different things and try these fun experiments. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And the ones that don't, just fucking next take. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
That sucked, you know? And when you get into that space, it becomes so much fun.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely, you know, we learn from our failures. Like, when you say you're on stage, it's like, don't be afraid to fail. Because when I recently bombed in Orange County, and to be fair, I heard the mic, like people couldn't hear me. And then also it's very conservative there. And you have a trans person talking about her experience. People were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I like bombed to a point where like 2 gay men in the audience were like, you're doing okay, sweetie. Like when someone's yelling out that you're doing okay, you know you're not.
Yeah.
Like it was so fucking bad. I got out of there. I left through the back door because I didn't want to see anyone. I cried the whole way home. Like literally was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, you know? And I called up a comedian friend and she was like, you need to just think about how you can learn from this experience. Like, what can you do? Like, and I'm like, I don't want to cater to these conservative people.
Right.
Like, what do and she's like, go do another show. She's like, the second you go do another show, you will be like, it's like affirming that you got this.
Yeah.
Like, and ever since that show, I've started like thinking like, what did I do? How could I handle this? Like I learned so much from that one fucked up show.
One of the things I always say and I say, you saying this is so like aligned with the way I believe. Like looking back on my life, the only things I've truly learned from are my failures. My successes, I go, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And I just do the same thing. It's the failures that make me go back to the drawing board and rethink it, figure out why it didn't work, and then do something better. So that to me is like I actually welcome those moments.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree. I hate them at the time, but
Of course, they suck when you're in them, but I'm always looking for the silver lining in any situation, because if you look hard enough and you're patient, you will.
Yeah.
There is a silver lining every single time. I look back on my life and I remember when I was in things and I was going, what is the fucking point of this? Like, this sucks.
Right.
And now I look back on it and I go, man, that was the biggest catalyst for this to change. And this to happen.
He's such a silver lining person. Sometimes infuriatingly so. Like sometimes I'm like, let me wallow. Let me be in this for a second. God damn it.
I try to do the same thing with comments. And we've had this conversation like in social media and everything. Like I went from a place of comments like deeply affecting me, and people would say things and I go, oh my God, maybe they're right. Like, and you take them all personally. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? These people don't know me at all.
Yeah.
They're commenting on whatever they think I am or who I am. So when I started then reading those comments from an outside perspective and going, oh, they're commenting to somebody that they don't know, that I don't know, then I could find the humor in things and I could read things and go, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like that's really, it's not me that they're actually talking about. So that's a funny one. You know, I don't take it personally anymore. When people say things, there are certain things that rile me up and I get excited to have a conversation with somebody. But I don't take things personal the same way.
Yeah. 4 agreements. That's one of them.
Yes.
Don't take things personally.
Yeah.
That's a really challenging one for me sometimes. But since I started comedy, like I'll get comments like, and some woman will comment and be like, oh, like you'll never be a woman. Like you're still a man. And I'm like, well, your husband didn't say that last night when I was pegging him. Like I will literally comment the most fucked up stuff because I like think it's funny. Like if someone throws up emoji, like they use the throw up emoji, I'll do a trash can emoji. Like, babe, do you need a bucket?
Yeah.
Like I have fun with it now. Like I don't take, it's like most of these people's lives are miserable.
Yes.
Like, you know, I'm over here living my dreams. So it's like, I'm good.
People will send me comments and I'll just put like a laughing emoji because what they said is really funny.
I mean, if someone has the audacity to say something ridiculous to you on your page, that's like walking into your home and saying an insult at you. you have the absolute right to say whatever you want to back.
Yeah.
Just know sometimes it incites a war. I used to interact with comments and then I realized, what's the point? All they want is validation. And for the most part, you can see people, if I go through and I open up the messages they've sent me, right? DMs that I've never seen. And they start off really nice, complimentary, but then they don't get a response from me. And so they get meaner and meaner and meaner. And then they're saying them on my comment section, getting meaner and meaner and meaner. All they want is to be seen.
That's so true.
And so then I'm commenting back to them like whatever it is that I'm reacting to. And I realize they just want to be seen. So I'm not going to give you the validation. I don't have time to give that to everyone. So I ignore them. But the ones that I can't help reacting to are the ones about my kids. I lose my shit when some people comment on my kids, and I've had to learn to not comment on those. Anyway,
I would be the same. And my mom, she like, sometimes I'll randomly see her commenting like, you're just jealous of her. I'm like, Mom, please stop. Like, don't like,
I don't need your help in this.
My cousins and a niece of mine have burner accounts, and they will go. I didn't know this until this last time I was in Australia. They will go on my page and respond to people,
literally just like
because they get so pissed about the things people say about me. I feel this has been such an amazing conversation. We have 3 questions that we ask everyone at the end of our episodes. I feel like I could talk to you, by the way, for another 2 hours.
I know, literally.
But we can just do another one of these and get into more stuff. But baby, do you want to go for it? You want to read?
Yeah. Let's split them up. I mean, we have these questions based on the show being called Oldish, and we kind of feel like it's that point when you just stop giving a fuck about things. Like you know more, but you just care less.
Yeah.
So these questions are along that line. One question is, what is one thing you used to care deeply about and are now grateful that you no longer do?
Yeah, I guess it would be the comments. Like I used to care so much about like what trolls say or even like tabloid stuff. I would be like so scared and like heartbroken about it. And now I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like you don't live in my experience. Like you have no idea.
Taking your power back in that way. I so relate to that one. Absolutely.
What's a messy human moment that taught you the most?
A messy human moment that taught me the most. Sex work, can I say that?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, that was, that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and I really value it. And I just like, I love myself for going through that. You know, it's like you look back at your older self and it's like, she got me where I needed to be, even using her own body.
It's pretty the catalyst. It's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Last one.
And finally, talking about your older self or your younger self, what is one thing that you would tell your younger self now that you know more and you care less?
I always think about like that, looking back at like that little boy who was so scared and like, I was just so afraid that people would find out that I was a girl. And I would tell them like, sweetie, you're a girl and you're going to grow up to be a really pretty woman with a really tight tie vagina.
Love that for you. Perfection.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Billie, it's been such a gift having you on here. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I would love to have you again to talk more. Best of luck with your book.
Yes.
I recommend that everyone gets out and reads this. Why Are You So Sensitive? This navigating everyday unintended microaggressions. We are absolutely all guilty of doing this.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think it's going to help you feel seen and
knowledge
understood.
is power, man. Like the more you know, the more you grow.
It is. And it truly is easy to digest and to understand. It's not so wordy where you're like, let me take a break. It's just information you can take in. I think it makes you feel seen, heard, and understood, and also give you great tools in communicating when you're feeling the effects of microaggressions in relationship and workplace. Thank you for writing this book and this subject. Thank you for joining us today. You are awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to support the show in the easiest way possible, go ahead and tap that follow button on whatever podcast app you're using. And I know that it might seem small, but truly it helps us more than you could possibly imagine. It helps us bring you amazing stories, amazing moments, and keep bringing you the content that we and all of you love. Thank you so much for being on this journey with us. We love you, Oldish fam.
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com, or you could DM me on Instagram, also at randyspelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.